Welcome to Unpack, where we explore the psychology and economics behind the choices women make. I'm Dr. Mugdha Vaidya, an economist and a principal consultant at Equilead Leadership Consulting.
I'm Dr. Deepika Dabke, founder of Equilead. We partner with organizations to build future ready leaders one step at a time. Today's topic is very interesting, Mugdha, and I think we have decided to call it as the salary she deserved but never asked. Why so? Then what?
Yes, Deepika, and I want to start with a story. I'm going to talk about one of our clients. Let's call her Priya. Okay, so Priya, top of her IIT batch, and she lands a dream consulting role.
Okay.
The offer comes in, great offer, great job, great role. And when the salary is mentioned, she doesn't negotiate. She just accepts the salary.
Oh. Something that her male counterpart perhaps would have never done, Mugdha.
Exactly, Deepika. And now, fast forward 5 years, she is a high performing manager, killing at her job.
Lovely.
But now she is roughly earning 20% lower than her male batchmate who did negotiate on day one. So, this silence in the beginning has not just cost her a number, but it's set a trajectory.
Mugdha, what's interesting to me about Priya's story is that it is really not about capability that she had in abundance. It's
Absolutely.
about perception. What she thinks is her value in that particular moment.
True, Deepika. So, what do you think is going on here psychologically, Deepika? Can you unpack that?
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here, Mugdha, but if we have to just focus on one thing, I think one interesting phenomena that has been studied, researched, and talked about is called as the imposter syndrome. It was actually coined by psychologists in almost as early as 1978 when they were studying high achieving women. And interestingly, what they found was that all these high achieving women doing very well for themselves were actually believing that they don't deserve to be where they stand. And perhaps it's going to be time when they are going to get found out. So the entire idea was we don't belong here. I need to be very grateful to stand where I am standing, thanks to somebody who has helped me be here. And oh my God, I'm going to get found out. So I need to survive rather than thrive.
Wow, that sounds very counterintuitive to me.
Absolutely. And what it is doing is that I am standing there and performing, but my brain is telling me constantly, you don't have the value that you are portraying to the world. And I'm sure it will also be having a lot of economic implications.
So, imposter syndrome has real economic impact. Now, let me show you how in numbers. So, two individuals offered same salary, 10 lakh per annum, with one person negotiating from 10 to 12 lakhs and the other just accepting 10 lakhs. Okay. And with 5% annual raise, which is standard. Now, imagine the total earnings of the one who did not negotiate turns out to be slightly over 3 crores.
Okay.
And the total earnings after 20 years of the one who negotiated turns out to be close to 4 crores.
Wow.
So now that difference is so huge and this is just created by not having that one conversation in the beginning.
Absolutely. You see, and for this imposter syndrome, there are other psychological prizes also, right? For example, not raising your hand for challenging projects to say that maybe I don't deserve to take this up. Not speaking up in meetings, playing small, shrinking yourself. And I'm sure this gap will only widen because we know if I don't do all of this, great opportunities are not coming my way. And therefore, where I start at entry level and where I move on, the gap will only keep increasing.
So that unpacks why she did not ask the salary she deserved and then what happened to her, right? But the real question here, I think, is what's next? What can she
Oh,
do about it?
absolutely. And I think this is not just about one conversation. This is really about checking with yourself where are you and how are you navigating your journey, right? And a lot of times when I do work with clients, right, especially mid level or senior level leaders, women leaders, there are
Okay.
two, three very interesting exercises that we have found very useful. One of
Hmm.
them I like to call as brag file.
Oh,
And to quickly unpack that, see, our brain thinks negative first. Would you agree with me?
absolutely.
And it just keeps keeping an account of what didn't go well. And we are so critical.
Hmm.
So, brag file basically is about keeping a list of all the positives that you have to take through your mind before a critical conversation or an important meeting or a step. So, what did I do well? Perhaps it's an appreciation that I got at a regional level. Perhaps it's a
Hmm.
a business that was closed because of my efforts.
Right.
Perhaps it is visibility to the work that my team did, the
Hmm.
value that I brought to the table. It's all there in your brag file. So when your brain is really incapacitated because of the imposter, you feed the brain to say, this is the value that I get in. And it has a huge impact on the way you start negotiating and speaking for yourself. The second
Hmm.
that I have seen working is called as an external lens. For example,
Okay.
imagine, Mugdha, that I am suffering from an imposter syndrome and I come to you as a friend.
Hmm.
And you
Interesting.
take a third party lens and you then start talking to me as if, look, Deepika, and how would you explain things to me?
Ah, makes sense.
Now, if I borrow that external lens and I ask myself, if my colleague or friend would be in this position, what would be my immediate good advice to this person? That's
Hmm.
exactly how I'm going to behave. And push yourself in that direction.
So I'm just thinking economically, for instance, in from economics perspective, I think information is power. So whenever you're having a
Yeah,
salary conversation, know what your market pays, and that
sure.
data is freely available. And
Mm,
but when you know what your benchmark is, right, that conversation stops being about personal demand. Asking for more
sure.
doesn't seem like asking
Mm.
as a personal favor, but it actually becomes a business conversation for market alignment.
Absolutely. And I think just to package this entire thing finally, I am a great fan of work of Amy Cuddy.
Okay,
Uh,
I've heard about her.
and she has done a lot of work on non-verbal behavior.
Ah,
The premise of her hypothesis and her team's work is that
hmm,
if we bring about small changes in our non-verbal behavior, which they she likes to call as power pose, and if we
hmm,
spend even 30 seconds in that, I don't remember the exact timeline, but if you
yeah.
spend that kind of a time before a crucial conversation in a power pose, just by standing like a winner, sitting
Hmm.
erect, feeling powerful, it makes huge changes to the cortisol levels and the testosterone levels in your brain, and it actually changes your demeanor in that conversation. So if nothing else helps, go to the washroom, go to the restroom, use your power pose, and then get into that conversation so that you can ask the salary that you really deserve.
So that's Unpack for today. And next week, Deepika, shall we talk about why saying yes to everything is the most expensive habit a woman has?
Tell me more, I'd love to know about that.